in the morning.
Hi everyone at Y&R. Welcome back to the channel. Today is a tumultuous day, and I hope you're all ready as we head through a mountain of drama in Genoa City. Expect surprises as Diane switches sides. Perhaps she feels abandoned by the Abbott family for too long, and Markham is the only one who understands her right now. Sit back and let's explore the madness unfolding on screen. I literally cannot believe they did that. I am sitting here staring at my screen with my jaw on the floor because what on earth is happening with Diane Jenkins Abbott? Are you kidding me right now? After everything Jack Abbott has done, after he literally sold his soul and fake dated Patty Williams of all people just to find her, Diane turns around and publicly accuses him of locking her up. I mean, I am so furious I can barely type straight. We all knew Dr. Lawrence Markham was a total creep, but the fact that he actually managed to brainwash Diane into thinking Jack is the villain here. It is just beyond infuriating, and I know some people are loving this because they've hated Diane since she came back from the dead, but personally, I am just so frustrated for Jack. He does not deserve this. So let's break down exactly how this nightmare started. Diane wakes up in this strange, unfamiliar room, completely disoriented and panicking after what was supposed to be her rescue. You could see the sheer terror in her eyes, and honestly, Susan Walters acted the heck out of that scene. She is looking around, trying to piece together how she got out of her initial hostage situation or whatever twisted version of reality she is currently living in. And then, right on cue, in walks Dr. Markham with that smug, sinister, predatory smile of his. I swear, every time that man is on screen, my skin crawls. He doesn't come in like a savior, he comes in like a spider who just caught a fly. He starts feeding her these calculated, venomous lies, and you can just watch the gears turning in Diane's head as the gaslighting takes hold. Markham sits there and calmly, smoothly tells Diane that Jack, her husband, the man who has defended her against the entire town, against his own sister Tracy, against Victor Newman, actually signed off on her captivity. Markham claims that Jack agreed to have her locked up to treat her nervous breakdown and protect the Abbott family from her instability. Like, what? How does Diane even entertain this for a second? But Markham is so good at this psychological warfare. He uses his authority as a doctor to validate her worst insecurities. He twists the narrative so perfectly, making it sound like Jack was exhausted by her drama and just wanted her out of the way. And because Diane is already so vulnerable and traumatized from being held hostage, the lies just seep right into her brain. She actually starts to believe that the love of her life betrayed her in the most horrific way possible. Wait, I'm getting ahead of myself here. We have to remember the context of why Diane is so primed to believe this garbage. Remember the yacht. Remember when Patty Williams drugged Jack and Diane walked in on them. Diane has been carrying the betrayal around like a shield. She already had this massive chip on her shoulder about Jack and Patty. And now, Jack is back at the Abbott mansion, totally isolated with Patty, pretending to romance her just to get intel on Diane's location. It is the most desperate, tragic plan ever. Jack is playing a highly dangerous game of psychological manipulation with a literal psychopath just to save his wife. But Diane doesn't know that. So when Markham whispers in her ear that Jack wanted her gone, it probably aligns perfectly with her twisted, lingering fears that Jack actually wanted Patty all along. It's so tragic, but also so incredibly frustrating to watch. Okay, back to the point. The confrontation scene between Jack and Diane was absolutely gut-wrenching. Jack finally gets to her. His eyes are wide with relief. He's probably thinking the nightmare is over. He reaches out to her, and what does Diane do? She recoils like he is covered in acid. She looks at him with this cold, dead, furious stare and just completely shuts him down. Jack is standing there, stammering, trying to explain the truth, trying to tell her about Patty's blackmail and Dr. Markham's sick games, but Diane isn't hearing a word of it. She has built this massive wall of resentment and suspicion, and she refuses to let him in. I mean, the sheer heartbreak on Jack's face. Peter Bergman deserves an Emmy for that look of pure devastation alone. He went to the ends of the earth for this woman, and she treats him like a monster. And then, because this is the young and the restless, and we can't do anything quietly, Diane takes it to the next level. She doesn't just reject Jack in private, she publicly accuses him in front of everyone. She stands there, trembling but furious, and points the finger at Jack Abbott, accusing him of imprisoning her against her will. The shock on the faces of the Abbott family. Cal looked like he had been struck by lightning. Tracy, who had literally just been defending Jack and begging Diane to give him a chance, looked completely horrified. Diane is painting Jack as this abusive, controlling husband who locked his wife in a psychiatric prison just to get rid of her. It is the ultimate betrayal, and it is playing right into the hands of everyone who wants to see the Abbott family crumble. Victor Newman is probably sitting at the ranch right now, sipping his tequila and laughing his head off. Am I the only one who sees the massive hypocrisy here? I've been watching since 2015, but I know my why and our history. Remember 2011? Remember when Diane orchestrated her own fake murder in the park, used a literal corpse from the morgue, framed Nikki Newman, and let her own son Kyle mourn her violent death for over a decade? Yeah, didn't work out so well for her karma, did it? And now she has the audacity to stand on her moral high horse and accuse Jack of an elaborate, malicious plot. Jack, who has forgiven her for literally faking her death, it just makes my blood boil. She is so quick to believe the absolute worst about Jack, a man who has shown her nothing but grace and forgiveness since she returned to Genoa City. It's like she subconsciously wants to be the victim so she doesn't have to face her own past sins. But the absolute craziest part of this entire storyline is that Diane is now seeking protection from Dr. Markham. Yes, you heard me right. The man who kept her locked in a barred room, who threatened her with other methods of nourishment if she didn't eat, who is secretly on Patty Williams' payroll. Diane has somehow twisted her own reality so much that she views her actual captor as her savior. She clings to Markham, believing he is the only one who truly cares about her well-being and wants to help her recover from this nervous breakdown that she doesn't even have. It is textbook Stockholm Syndrome, mixed with some heavy-duty gaslighting, and it is terrifying to watch. Markham is just soaking it all up, playing the benevolent doctor while secretly pulling all the strings. And can we talk about the massive elephant in the room regarding Dr. Markham? I know a lot of fans in the forums are screaming about this, and I am totally on board with the theory. Is Dr. Lawrence Markham actually Martin Laurent in disguise? We saw the books by Dr. Alan Laurent on his shelf. We know Martin is a psychotic mastermind who loves playing twisted psychological games. Remember when he trapped Sharon and Phyllis in that clinic? This has Martin's fingerprints all over it. If Patty Williams used Victor's money to fund a plastic surgery disguise for Martin to pose as Markham, then Diane is in even more danger than she realizes. She is trusting a literal psychopath to protect her from her loving husband. If this theory turns out to be true, the fallout is going to be absolutely nuclear. I just keep going back to Jack in all of this. My heart breaks for him. He has been pushed to the absolute brink. He had to kick his own sister, Tracy, and his son, Kyle, out of the Abbott mansion just to appease Patty's insane demands. He has been living in a house with a woman who traumatized him, pretending to romance her, dreading the moment she demands they go to the bedroom. He sacrificed his dignity, his safety, and his family's peace of mind, all to find Diane and his reward. Being publicly branded as a kidnapper and an abuser by the very woman he was trying to save. How much more can Jack take? The man is not made of stone. At some point, he is going to snap, and I honestly wouldn't blame him if he just walked away from Diane entirely after this. But wait, let me play devil's advocate for a second. Sometimes I contradict myself because I get so emotional watching this show. But what if Diane is playing a long con? What if she hasn't actually been brainwashed? We know she was previously trying to flatter Markham and fake a psychological breakthrough to get out of the clinic. What if this public accusation against Jack is just an elaborate ruse? What if she knows Markham is watching her every move, so she has to publicly denounce Jack to earn Markham's complete trust? If Diane is secretly plotting to take Markham down from the inside, then this is the most brilliant, twisted soap opera move of the decade. But I don't know. The look in her eyes when she rejected Jack looked so real. I think the trauma has actually broken her, and she genuinely believes Markham's lies. I know I'm ranting, and I know some people are loving this. I've seen the group chats. Some fans are cheering because they think Diane is finally getting what she deserves after all the pain she caused the Abbotts over the years. They think Jack was a fool to ever trust her again, and this is his karma for letting her back into his life. And yeah, I get that perspective. Diane is no saint. But personally, I hate seeing a marriage destroyed by outside interference, especially when it involves someone as deeply unhinged as Patty Williams. Jack and Diane fought so hard to rebuild their lives, and to see it torn apart by a fake doctor and a delusional ex-wife is just tragic. It feels cheap, you know? Like they couldn't find a real reason for them to break up, so they had to invent this massive kidnapping conspiracy. So where do we go from here? How does Jack prove his innocence when his own wife is testifying against him? I predict that Carl is going to be the wild card in all of this. Carl knows how much Jack loves Diane. He knows Jack would never lock her up. I think Carl is going to launch his own rogue investigation into Dr. Markham. He already had that violent confrontation with Patty where he choked her against a wall demanding answers. Carl is unhinged right now, and if he finds out that Markham is manipulating his mother, he is going to destroy him. Plus, we still have Detective Burrow quietly investigating in the background. Eventually, the money trail from Patty to Markham has to be exposed. When that happens, Diane's entire reality is going to shatter all over again. And what about Patty? Patty is sitting pretty right now, thinking she has won. She thinks Jack is hers and Diane is permanently out of the picture, but Patty is a ticking time bomb. She cannot maintain this facade of sanity for long. Eventually, her obsession with Jack is going to push her to do something reckless, and that is when Jack will finally get the upper hand. I just hope he doesn't have to sleep with her to get the truth. That would be crossing a line that I don't think Jack's character could ever fully recover from, emotionally speaking. The writers are walking a very fine line here, and I am praying they don't ruin Jack just for the sake of shock value. Overall, this storyline is stressing me out, keeping me up at night, and making me yell at my television, which means the writers are doing their jobs perfectly. I am so invested in this Jack and Diane drama, even though it makes me want to pull my hair out. The psychological warfare, the betrayal, the public accusations, it is peak soap opera goodness. But seriously, someone needs to get Diane a real therapist, lock Patty Williams in a padded cell, and give Jack Abbott a year-long vacation on a tropical island. He has earned it. Let me know what you guys think in the comments. Am I crazy for defending Jack? Do you think Diane is faking it? I need to know I'm not the only one losing my mind over this.